Well, the whole idea here was to make a 30-second song, and I started a new project, and it loads up with 120 beats per minute tempo. And I did some math quickly and obviously very badly, and came up with the idea that, well, with 60 seconds in a minute, I want to make a half a minute song. I can make two phrases of 8 bars each, and there we go. Not thinking that that would actually be 32 seconds. So ended up with a 15 bar number, and that's what gets us to our 30 seconds. All right, so diving into how I picked the sounds and so on for this song, I was scrolling through my Analog Lab patches and found this with 2 keyboard sounds here, a DX7 80s piano, and then a 70s or even earlier Wurlitzer sound. It says here, warm and mellow sound of these 2 keyboards together. Play it tenderly and it will melt your heart. So let's check that out. Here's what I came up with. Had this chord. Ooh, yeah. This chord. All right, so what are those 2 chords? So the first chord is just 2 triads stacked on top of each other, but it's actually in thirds all the way up. So we call that a higher tertian sonority. And basically what we spell that as is an E flat minor 11th chord. Because that highest note there, the A flat, is a 4th above the root, and so we call that an 11th. And it's basically an extended E flat minor chord. And there you can see the next chord has no flats. It's all naturals. And Logic classified this as a G with a 6th, a 9th, and an 11th, which is one way to spell it or think about it for sure. But I'm going to actually flip these around and show you what's going on. So you see there the 2 spellings of the same chord structure side by side, and we have pretty much the same thing as we started with in the E flat minor 11th chord. We've got an A minor 11th chord. So we just stack the thirds all the way up. And so it's an E flat minor 11th, and then what I'm calling an A minor 11th. And so let's move on to some other parts. Okay, so let's talk about the drums. I always cheat with the drums. Maybe someday that won't be the case. A couple things that I do with these drummer tracks. I'm going to solo this out here and get into it. So one thing that I do is I play with this grid, this XY grid right here, and pull things around to where they have the right feel that I'm going for. Not too busy, not too crashy and loud and things. So that's one thing. So because if I move this, it's gonna see it's playing a lot more busy. So I'm gonna undo that. The other thing I do for a track like this is I go ahead and on this kick and snare settings, I find the one that is in halftime, because a lot of times it's just still too much going on. Like if I pull this back over to like number 4. Yeah, it's too straight ahead. Kind of like this right here. A little bit heavy-handed. So after I put down the keys and added the drums, I actually don't remember if I got the bass line in there first. I might have, but at some point I decided this needs a little guitar, something besides a software instrument, an actual analog signal coming in, and so I put a little bit of guitar with that. Yeah, so that's the guitar, and it's like I said, at some point I added in bass, found an analog bass right here in Logic. Usually I like basses on the Mini Moog, but I used this one this time. So now let's talk about those vocals. The vocals on this song I got from a plugin I use called Arcade. It's made by Output. It's a vast library of loops of all different kinds. On this song, I wanted to fake some vocals, so I found a set of loops in Arcade that have some little vocal lines that you've heard. I'm just going to show you how I put it together. So if you go back to those two chords, remember I had an E flat minor 11th and an A minor 11th chord. And the thing about the Arcade loops is you can set the key of all the loops in the set that you're working with. And I'll just open it up here. And so if we can just deal with the fact that D sharp minor is the same as E flat minor, and I play some of the loops here. And I play another one. So they're all in this enharmonic key, E flat minor, D sharp minor, same thing. And that works. That's great for one of the chords that the song is made of, but there's no way to get one that's in an A minor 11th chord unless you just make another track and you make the player be in the equivalent. Yeah, so I can put an A minor here. I did it C major for the song. But now if I play, and all the loops on all these different keys are in A minor or C major. And the third track here for Arcade, I just wanted to pan some of the vocals differently. There's obviously other ways I could have done that with automation and so on. I just did it that way. So I've got one Arcade set to D sharp minor, and I've got two other ones here set to C major. And that was how I was able to do these. So let's just listen to those vocals together with just the keyboard to see how all that fits together.
All you gotta do is hold on, I'll be there.
There were 3 other tracks here that I used to add just some other sprinkles, I guess, for lack of a better word, to this whole thing. I'll start with this pad I found. It's a little bit odd, and I'm not even sure it really works with the rest of the track, but I don't know. I just left it in. It's kind of spacey, so I'll just solo it out here. We'll listen to that. Doesn't seem to make much sense by itself, but we'll hear it all together in a minute. Another one that I used was just some percussion in addition to the drums, and I chose an actual symphonic triangle from the BBC Symphony plugin that is from Spitfire. You see that there? Well, a little corner of it anyway. So the triangle we won't spend a lot of time on, but it's just kind of dinging along there. It's barely audible, but it just adds a little bit of high-end sizzle, tingle. And finally, I wanted to double down on the kind of soul feel to this, so I grabbed a B3 organ, like a jazz organ sound, and just added some things. I'll just make it. And actually, that is my playing. But what I did after I recorded the MIDI track is I went through and I took out a lot of notes that I played just to make it a little more sparse and kind of get into the groove a little bit. I was just a little heavy-handed once again. So that's it. Now let's hear the whole thing. And this isn't the mixed and mastered version. This is just the raw tracks that I started with, but how it all came together.
It's not too late. It's not too late for us. All you gotta do is hold on, just hold on. I'll be there.
Yeah. So hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for making it this far. And all you got to do is like and subscribe.